The gnawing in their bellies is a living thing. A predator inside them as real as any clawed shadow that stalks the twilight ferns. For 3 suns, the clan has found nothing but dry roots and the bitter husks of insects. They are a small band of Homo habilis, 13 of them. Their forms slight, but their minds are light with a desperate cunning, the only true weapon they possess in this age of titans. It is the young scout. Loma, who finds it. His sharp cry, a sound like a startled bird, pulls them from the humid undergrowth into a clearing they have never seen. And there it lies, a mountain of flesh and bone, an impossibility made real. It is an Ankylosaurus, a living fortress, but its famed defenses have failed catastrophically. The beast is on its back, its great, clubbed tail lying limp in the mulch, its belly the soft, vulnerable underside so rarely seen is turned to the indifferent sky. The interlocking plates of its osteodermis, the armor that can shatter the jaw of an Allosaurus, are useless now, pointing at the canopy like a field of broken shields. The clan freezes, their hunger battling a deeper, older instinct of profound suspicion. This is not the work of a scavenger, nor the kill of a great carnivore. A Tyrannosaurus would have left a shattered, blood-soaked ruin. This is clean, too clean. The air is thick with the scent of decay, a sweet, cloying perfume that promises salvation. But something is profoundly wrong. The creature's underside is not torn. It is pierced, from the soft flesh of its belly. Immense, sharpened spikes thrust upwards, each as thick as a man's leg. They are dull, like wet wood, and seem to grow directly from the rich, black soil of the clearing. The clan's leader, the elder Kale, whose face is a map of scars and survival, takes a step forward, his knuckles white around the grip of his stone axe. He sees the young ones, eyes wide with the vision of roasted meat, of marrow scooped from massive bones. He sees the mothers, their own hunger secondary to the silent plea in their children's faces, their primitive technology, their sharpened stones and fire-hardened spears, feels like children's toys before this scene. A feast for a season lies before them. It is a gift from the spirits, or it is a trap. The 2 youngest males, driven by the reckless fire of their age, begin to move forward, their mouths watering. Kale's voice cracks through the silence, not a shout, but a low growl that stops them cold. He points with his chin, not at the meat, but at the ground around the colossal carcass. There are no tracks, no sign of a struggle. It is as if the armored giant simply fell from the sky and was impaled upon the very earth it stood on. The silence of the clearing presses in, a physical weight. The usual chorus of insects is absent. The birds do not sing here. It is a place of waiting, a place of watching. A low murmur of dissent triples through the clan. Hunger is a powerful, stupid beast, and it erases caution. The young ones stare at Kale, their eyes a mix of fear and defiance. They see a feast that could save them, and an old man whose fear might kill them. Loma, the scout who found the carcass, takes a half step forward, his hand resting on the smooth stone of his chopper. He is challenging Kale, not with words, but with the universal language of need. The future of ancient humans is oft undecided in these silent confrontations. Kale does not meet his gaze. Instead, he scans the edge of the clearing, his eyes tracing the impossibly thick curtain of vines that form its walls. He understands their mutiny. His own stomach is a hollow ache. He is gambling all their lives on an instinct, on the faint, acrid scent beneath the smell of rot that his memory cannot place. It is the pinnacle of their survival skills, not the strength of the arm, but the wisdom to still the hand. He must show them. He bends, his old joints protesting, and picks up a heavy, fist-sized stone. With a grunt, he hurls it underhand toward the dead Ankylosaurus. It lands with a soft thud in the damp earth, barely 10 paces from the impaled belly. Nothing happens. One of the young males lets out a short, derisive grunt. Their hunger makes them brave and foolish. But Kale waits. He holds up a hand, demanding the silence that the grove already offers in abundance. The sun beats down. A fat, iridescent fly buzzes lazily around the monster's open eye socket. And then, a shadow detaches from the deep jungle. A scavenger. A single compsognathus, no bigger than a large bird, darts into the clearing. It moves in a nervous, twitching scurry, its beady eyes fixed on the promise of torn flesh. It ignores the stone kale through and makes a direct line for the great carcass, drawn by a scent far more powerful. Its tiny, three-toed feet make almost no sound on the soil. It reaches the shadow of the dead giant. It lowers its head to peck at a loose shred of flesh near one of the great wounds. The ground erupts. It does not tremble, it strikes, with a sound like 1,000 wet branches snapping at once. A patch of earth, the size of a hide blanket, explodes upwards. Spikes, identical to the ones holding the Ankylosaurus, burst from the soil with the speed of a striking snake. They are not wood. They are gristling. Chitinous barbs connected by a web of thick, pulsating tendrils, a networked horror hidden beneath a thin veil of dirt. The rhizome moves as one. The small dinosaur is impaled instantly. Its frantic death squeak cut short as it is lifted a foot into the air, riding on a spear of living wood. Then, just as quickly, the entire section of ground retracts, pulling the fresh kill down into the earth with a sickening, liquid sound. The soil knits itself back together, leaving only a dark stain. The clan is paralyzed. The sound of their own frantic heartbeats is a thunder in their ears. The truth washes over them, cold and absolute. The clearing is not a place. It is a thing. The Ankylosaurus was not a casualty of this environment. It is the bait. They are standing on the jaws of a trap that has been waiting patiently for more significant prey. They are the prey. The forest, the silent, watching forest, is the hunter. Terror is a paralytic. It holds them fast, turning their limbs to stone and their minds to ice. They now understand the deep, unnatural silence of this place. It is the silence of a stomach waiting to close. The air itself feels predatory. Kale watches the ring of dense, tangled flora that marks the clearing's edge. He swears he can see it contracting. The thick, leafy vines tightening like a sphincter, slowly, patiently drawing the circle close. This is not just a trap. It is a digestive system. The scent of rot from the Ankylosaurus is the lure, the ground is the jaw, and the vine-choked perimeter is the throat. They are inside the beast. This is a fundamental horror of prehistoric life. A truth that shapes all of hominid history. The world itself can be the monster. The young ones look to Kale, their earlier defiance gone, replaced by a raw, pleading fear. He is the elder, the keeper of memory. He has seen a lifetime of death, of encounters with dinosaurs and the countless other brutalities of their existence. He must know a way. His eyes, dark and deep-set, darts around the enclosure, not looking for an escape route, but for a weapon. Their sharpened stones are useless against the earth itself, but then his gaze locks onto it. On the far side of the clearing, near the constricting wall of vines, stands a single, skeletal tree. It is ancient, black, and dead, its trunk split open by a wound that could only have come from the sky. A lightning strike. At its base, a wisp of grey smoke rises, so faint it is almost invisible. An ember, protected from the damp by the hollowed-out trunk, still clings to a stubborn, smoldering life. It is their only chance. Fire, the one tool that makes the great beast spores. The one forced at the green, living world fears above all else. This is the dawn of primitive technology, born not of comfort, but of absolute desperation. Kale's voice is a dry rasp. He does not need to explain the plan. He points to the smoking tree, then to the two young males who had been so eager for the feast. Their moment of atonement has come. They understand. A covenant is sealed in that silent glance. They will retrieve the fire. The clan moves as one. The women and children retreat to the center of the clearing, as far from the hungry edges as possible, forming a tight, defensive circle. Kale and the other two adult males grab the longest, driest branches they can find, preparing torches. The 2 years, Zoma among them, begin their perilous journey. They move with an agonizing slowness, testing every single footstep before committing their weight, their bodies low to the ground. The very soil beneath them is a coiled predator. They are walking on its tongue. They reach the dead tree. Zoma, his hands trembling, reaches into the smoldering hollow. He pulls out a piece of charred wood, one end glowing with a furious orange heart. He blows on it gently, coaxing it, feeding it his own breath. The flame catches. It is a small, flickering thing, a tiny spark of defiance in a world of overwhelming power. As they turn back, the ground senses them. A section near their feet begins to swell, but they are ready. The second youth thrusts his own unlit branch toward the ember. It catches fire. Now they have 2 torches. They do not run. They advance, a slow, determined wall of latent heat, thrusting their flames at the ground. The living earth recoils. A section of the vine wall shudders, pulling back from the heat with a sound like tearing meat. They have found its weakness. They have found the path. They reach the clan. And soon, 5 torches burn against the encroaching darkness. They move together toward the vine wall, a small island of fire and hope, and burn their way back into the jungle, leaving the silent, hungry clearing to its patient vigil. They do not stop moving until the sun bleeds across the horizon, leaving the valley of the patient hunter far behind. They carry the fire with them, a rescued god, its light a shield against the things that own the night. What happened in that grove becomes a permanent scar on their collective memory, a story to be told in hushed tones around future fires. It is a lesson etched not in stone, but in terror that the greatest threats are not always the ones with teeth and claws, but the ones you do not understand until it is too late. This single act of desperate, cooperative intelligence is a tiny event in the grand, violent tapestry of human evolution. Yet it is everything. It is the moment a species, armed with little more than fragile bodies and oversized brains, refused to be mere bait. They looked upon a world designed to devour them and chose not to run, but to think. They stole a spark from the sky's rage and turned it into a weapon. A tool, a future. How much of our own world was built upon the ashes of such impossible choices? How much of that primal fire, first carried not in triumph but in trembling hands, still burns in the heart of our own audacity? This is the chronicle of the hunger and the hunt, the story of the earth that bites. This is our inheritance, discovered in the heart of the great fear. But a fire in the darkness does more than ward off danger, it sends a signal.